Hi, hello everybody, I'm Justin, this is Koopa, and welcome to Koopa's Corner. Today we're going to talk about WWE's premium live event, Survivor Series. Survivor Series is this upcoming weekend. It's going to be Thanksgiving weekend. It's going to be November the 29th, 2025. It's going to be in San Diego, California. And in this video, we're going to do our preview of the match card and make our predictions. Something we like to do here for all of the PLEs in the WWE. We used to do post-show breakdowns, but I don't really watch them anymore now that they're on ESPN. I haven't made the switch because it's a lot of money just for the WWE. But I've been watching Raw and SmackDown and the build, and so we're going to talk about the build to Survivor Series. We're going to preview the match card a little bit. Now, I think this is likely going to start off with the women's War Game match. And this is a 5-on-5 matchup. It's going to be Rhea Ripley, Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, Charlotte Flair, and AJ Lee on one side. And it's going to be Becky Lynch, Asuka, Kairi Sane, Nia Jax, and Lash Legend on the other side. Now, this build has been a little bit weird. There's not really one overarching story. This feels like one of the years where they just squeezed everyone together to try and get the match on the card. They're trying to make the War Games match the new traditional Survivor Series match, trying to breathe some new life into it. It was cool the first couple of years, but now that it's not the shiny new thing anymore, it's losing a little bit of its luster. And personally, I like almost all of these competitors, but there's just no story, there's just no intrigue. It's just a War Games match for the sake of a War Games match. Now, some of the few random stories that are all interwoven here is Rhea and Io, right? And kind of their budding rivalry / friendship, and how that has kind of cost Io her friendship with the Kabuki Warriors. So there's some, butting heads there. The Kabuki Warriors won the women's tag team titles from Charlotte and Alexa recently, so there's a little tension there. Charlotte doesn't like Rhea, so can they all work together on a team? There's a little tension there. Nia Jax is there for some reason. Lash Legend is there for some reason. Apparently her and Nia are kind of like a tandem now. Apparently Lash is not in NXT anymore, even though they never really formally or officially called her up. She just showed up one day, and they never really explained it. She just is there. And then Becky Lynch somehow got involved, and then that made AJ Lee come out, and AJ Lee came out and distracted Becky Lynch due to the rivalry that they've had in her Intercontinental Championship match against Maxine Dupree. She cost Becky Lynch her Intercontinental Championship against Maxine Dupree. And then she joined the War Games match, and then Becky joined the War Games match to go after AJ. Even though she didn't really have any other ties to the Kabuki Warriors or to Nia or to Lash Legend. So it's just been kind of all over the place. But here we are. It'll be a good match. Io will do a moonsault off the top. Rhea's going to come out in some cool face mask, headgear, something. I'm sure each of these little individual stories will get a moment to sort of shine. But really, I don't expect a lot out of this match except for it to be a fun match. I don't think there's enough for it to be one sort of cohesive story. This is going to feel like a spot fest. Can we go from one spot to another spot to another spot? And it's not going to flow as one coherent story, one coherent match. And that's something that these gimmick matches suffer from a lot. But it should still be fun. Now, predictions, I think that the babyface team is going to win here. It's going to be Rhea Ripley, and Io Sky, Alexa Bliss, and Charlotte Flair, and AJ Lee. They're going to come out on top. And I largely think that because, well, spoiler alert, I think the heels are going to win the men's match, and I don't think they're going to have two heel teams win. That's not a really good reason to make a prediction. It has nothing to do with the narrative. But that's really all I got to go off of. You know, I mean, Rhea is the biggest star in the company. AJ Lee is fresh off of a hot return. There's just, I think, more upside to the babyfaces winning, and you kind of, like I said, spread the love so it's not all heels, and it makes the fans happy. It's a great way to kick off the show. I think we're going to follow that up with the Intercontinental Championship match, where Dirty Dom tries to regain his championship from John Cena, who won it just, about a week and a half ago at this point, on his final appearance on Monday Night Raw. Not his final appearance, but like two weeks, actually. It's the Monday before that he won it. Then there was the 6-man tag match. And then this Monday, John Cena obviously didn't appear, but Dom came out and he had a miniature version of John Cena, and that wasn't great. But yeah, this match has really only had like 2 to 3 weeks build. John Cena won the Intercontinental Championship, became a Grand Slam champion. I think he's going to drop the title to Dirty Dom. Dirty Dom's going to win it back. There's a lot of upside to Dirty Dom holding that title, and there's a lot of upside to him getting a pin on John Cena right before John Cena leaves. And there's not really a downside for John Cena taking the loss. He's trying to make some stars on his way out, and it should be a really good match. John Cena can still go pretty well for his age. Maybe not as good as he could have once before, but he can still go at a pretty decent pace. Dirty Dom is low-key probably the best in the company right now, and it's they're gonna exceed expectations here. They're gonna have a great match, and Dirty Dom is going to be a 2-time Intercontinental Champion. We're going to follow that up with the Women's World Title match. That's going to be Stephanie Vaquer defending against Nikki Bella. Now, there's not a lot of story here either. Nikki Bella and Stephanie Vaquer were sort of friends-ish. They didn't really do a good job of making them friends. They sort of seemed like an odd couple. They didn't really have enough in common. Like, it didn't feel legit at all. But they teamed together for a couple of weeks for whatever that's worth. And then Nikki Bella turned on Stephanie Vaquer and beat her down. And then the next week when Stephanie came out to talk, Nikki Bella caught her in the aisle and beat her down. And then I don't even think they were on Raw this week. So that's all there is. Stephanie hasn't been champion for long. I'm sure Nikki Bella wants one final run with the title. I just think there's too much downside to taking the title off of Stephanie Vaquer this early in her run for them to pull the trigger on that now. It could be something that Nikki Bella gets down the road, but right now it's all Stephanie Vaquer. And then finally, it's the men's War Game match, and as I stated earlier, I think the heels are going to win this. So let's kind of rewind a little bit and recap this match. It's Roman Reigns, CM Punk, Cody Rhodes, Jimmy Uso, and Jey Uso versus Brock Lesnar, Drew McIntyre, Braun Breaker, Bronson Reed, and Logan Paul. So Roman, Jimmy, Jey do this every year. This is like the Bloodlines specialty match. CM Punk joined them last year. So Cody is sort of the odd man out here. On Raw, he said it was his team. He acts like a heel a lot of times, even though he's the baby face. I'm not overly fond of Cody, honestly. I think he's sometimes confused about his role in the company. But, this match sort of took place, it all started after Crown Jewel. Cody Rhodes injured Seth Rollins. They had to write Seth Rollins off of TV. Bronson Reed and Braun Breaker took Seth Rollins out on Raw following the event, right? So then the two of them sort of kept Paul Heyman, kept the vision thing going on. And they started targeting CM Punk because CM Punk had the title. They started targeting Jey Uso because Jey Uso was kind of, sort of with Punk a little bit there. The two of them were really friendly with Cody. That's how he kind of got drawn into it. Jimmy, obviously, and Jey reunited because of their relationship there. And they were feuding with Braun, and they were feuding with Bronson. And then Logan Paul came out to challenge Punk for the title, and Bronson and Braun interrupted. And then Logan Paul sort of hightailed it out of there after taking a quick hit. And then he sort of turned around and came back in later in the evening during the main event that night. There was a tag match, and it looked like he was going to help Punk, and he didn't. He turned down Punk. He aligned himself with Bronson Reed, and he aligned himself with Braun Breaker, and specifically, more importantly, he aligned himself with Paul Heyman. Right? Over on SmackDown, Drew McIntyre was suspended for how he beat up Cody Rhodes, and he came back from his suspension because Paul Heyman brought him back, so he decided to join that way. Kind of how he got out of his suspension. And he started joining them, and it was 4-on-4, and, the fifth member was missing. Paul Heyman came on Monday Night Raw. He told General Manager Adam Pearce and General Manager Nick Aldis, if you didn't like what I did with Drew McIntyre on SmackDown, you're going to hate what I have in store for you tonight. That's when Brock Lesnar made his return. And then, as Brock Lesnar's out there helping beat up all the babyfaces, Roman Reigns makes the save. Roman Reigns made the save because he's invested in Jimmy and in Jey and the Bloodline. And that's essentially it. Since then, we've had a couple of brawls. Brock Lesnar has fallen on his ass during his entrance. Nothing too special here, but at least all the pieces are connected a little bit better than the women's match. It's sort of one overarching story, even though it's also kind of two separate stories, right? But at least it's not 3, 4, 5 different stories the way the women's match is. Really, this match, I'm not overly fond of. We don't need Brock Lesnar in the WWE. We're past the point where we need Brock Lesnar in the WWE. I don't care if he has ties to Paul Heyman. I don't really care who they want him to feud with. We don't need him in this day and age, right? Too much has happened, and it's too difficult to look past his history, and we just don't need it. Roman Reigns coming back is interesting. Roman Reigns doesn't spend enough time in the WWE, and he teased going after Cody. He teased going after Punk a little bit, saying, hey, that title will look good on my shoulder, and they're like, well, which one? The thing that doesn't make sense here is Cody spent all that time trying to dismantle the Bloodline, all that time trying to finish his story, trying to beat Roman Reigns, trying to take the title from Roman Reigns. And Jimmy, Jey, Roman, and essentially Punk, because, well, at least more so, even not fully, but, somewhat, after joining him last year, are essentially the Bloodline. He's essentially joining the Bloodline for no other reason than they're babyfaces now. It doesn't make a lot of sense narratively why Cody Rhodes would team up with them. He's more likely to be aligned with Braun Breaker and Bronson Reed because he was aligned with Seth Rollins to take on Roman Reigns. Even if they, went head-to-head at Crown Jewel, he's still more likely to be aligned with them. So there's not a lot that makes a ton of sense here either. It just, again, it feels like it's Survivor Series. We got to squeeze a War Games match in, and they didn't do a great build to it. I'm excited that Roman's back, and I don't think that really there's too much to be gained here by having both world champions and Roman Reigns win. I think it's more likely that maybe Roman turns on them. I think maybe they want to tease Roman turning on them, and maybe we get a surprise like Jey Uso turns on them. Jey Uso has been flirting with the dark side for a while, and let's face it, his run as a babyface was shit. Jey Uso kind of sucks. He's not that good. I'm not a big fan. He's an entrance, right? He's a glorified entrance. So they could do something like that to protect the babyfaces in a loss. But really, there's a lot more to be gained about Braun Breaker getting the win, about Bronson Reed getting the win, about Drew McIntyre getting the win, even Logan Paul getting the win could propel him into a title feud after this, right? There's more credibility to be had. There's more star power to be built. And there's more story narrative to be developed in the heels winning. Brock Lesnar could set himself up to be a challenger for one of the titles as well. I think that's probably pretty likely. Again, I don't think we need that. I don't think we need Brock Lesnar around. But Brock Lesnar coming in, suplex, F5, 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 pin. It would fit with Brock's character, and it would set up the future narratively. If the WWE doesn't care about things like sexual assault, human trafficking, and they're going to force Brock Lesnar to be a part of the narrative anyway, then I can't imagine they're not going to utilize him to the best of their ability. So, again, there's just all these different boxes being checked on the heels winning that don't exist really if the babyfaces win. And I think that is going to be Survivor Series. You know, the past few years we've had these huge moments, these huge returns. CM Punk's return, for example, a few years back. Just Survivor Series has created these big moments in the past couple of years. It really feels like they've put a lot of effort into reviving the event. And I don't think this year will be any different. I think we're going to get some big twist at the end, right? Whether that's a Jey Uso or a Jimmy Uso heel turn or something like that. Or it could be a surprise return, someone we haven't seen for a while. I could be completely wrong about the match order. They could open with the men's match, close with the women's match, and have a Liv Morgan return. That's on the table as well. So I don't really know what the big twist is going to be, but I would expect a big twist in addition to the matches that we talked about already. And that's it, guys. That is Survivor Series War Games. Let me know what you think the big twist is going to be. Let me know in the comments. Because this is really the one thing I don't really have a prediction for. Thank you so much for watching. We'll see you in the next one.